Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining the Palace of Mad King Ludwig. If you have watched my other videos, you'll have an idea that the Palace of Mad King Ludwig is part of a cycle of different games. The Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. They all use similar iconography and they use the same room types. However, each of them plays differently. And it's worthwhile noticing the differences. You'll find that people who have played any of the King Ludwig games will have an idea of the iconography, but that is pretty much it when it comes to this game. In the other games, you're building your own castle. In this game, everyone is working on the same palace at the same time. You mark which room you build by adding one of these little critters onto the building or the room as you build it. You'll keep track of each room that you build by putting your markings along these tracks. When you've built the third of any type of building, you will get a bonus, which is one of these swans, and we'll talk about them in a second. When you build all 5, you'll get a bonus 10 points. At the end of the game, there are also points for having every type of building built. It's worth 10 points. If you can get every type of building or room built twice, you'll get an extra 20 points on top of that. So the game is played in such a way that, say this player is going first, they can choose either of these two, simply because they don't have any swans. So these are the rooms that are available to build. If he wishes to choose either of these two, he's going to have to pay 1 swan. If he wishes to choose either of these two, he'll have to pay 2 swans. Because he has 0 swans at the moment, his only choice are these two. If he chooses to build this one, there's a yellow swan in the doorway. It is worth his while to build that facing another yellow swan. If you match those 2 swans, you get that type of swan, which is the yellow swan. And that then becomes one of your swans. Whoever has built the other room would also get a swan, but because there are 3 hallways to start with, no one else will get a swan. The other thing that happens is that room is marked as his. So the music note has built that particular room. At the end of his turn, all of these will step down 1, making each thing a little bit cheaper, and we flip out the next type of room. The next turn, red might choose to build this and may choose to build that just there. Now, that's a grey swan. That matches with anything. It's a wild coloured swan. So because that's matched with yellow, red will now also get a yellow swan and put his little marker on that. And because he's matched the room type with the music note also gets another yellow swan. What has also happened is that each of these rooms are now complete. So we flip the crown over to show that this is a complete room. He will now get 3 points for every one of these tiles that he has at the end of the game. I'll talk about those tiles in a moment. And this player will flip that over and will gain one of these tiles into his array. So what that means is something that I'm going to come to in a little while. Let's just hold off on that for the moment. The other things that are available to you to start with is you can place another hallway. You take the one from the top and you can place it anywhere you like, matching the same rules with the swan colours. So a player could potentially place that there, place one of your notes on it. Didn't cost him anything. He's matched a red and a red, so therefore he gets the red swan. Notice that the yellow is going to a blank wall. That means that this room can never be completed. If, however, he put it over here, there's a potential that that room could be completed. If he put it here, once again, that room could not be completed, but he would get a green swan instead of the red swan. So let's just put that there for the moment. The other type of room that's over here is stairways. Stairways also are free to build. Because everything is upstairs at the moment, it goes at the lighter end of the stairway down to a darker end. So if he puts that in there, firstly he's moved this closer to being built because there's only 2 more rooms to build that. When those 2 rooms get built, he will get 2 blue swans for that. But he's also put a stairway in. Now what will happen is whenever one of these building types goes in, that will go in at the bottom of the stairs. So the darker end goes downstairs, when this gets completed, either with another stairway coming up or with another downstairs room, he'll get one of these face down swans that's on the drawbridge. They are swans for each colour, but no one else knows what coloured swan he has when he gains that. It is important with these number of swans because there are points for having matching sets of each colour. So if you have a set of all 5 different swans, you get 10 points at the end of the game. What he's currently got, he's got a set of 2, which is worth 2 points, and a set of 1, which is worth 1 point. Those points are listed at the bottom of the board. These stairways, he will mark that as he puts them in. That's been completed. He's gained a swan. So that's a yellow one. He puts that face down. So no one else knows that. Now, if he's put this other stairway in, so he's coming back up, each of those stairways at the end of the game is worth 3 points for every downstairs room that he has connected to that stairway. So at the moment there's 1 room, but it's connected to 2 stairways, so theoretically that is worth 6 points to him at the end of the game. If he was, for example, to do that, this one would gain 3 6 points, this one would gain 3 6 points as well. So that is worth 12 points to him at the end of the game. Now remembering at the end of your turn, you'll push these up and flip out another room. So the ones that are at this end get cheaper as we go along. So now we get to adding things to your blueprint. This is your blueprint. Whenever he has added a room, he will have placed a note. So fix this up for what is actually in the castle at the moment. Obviously everyone will have very similar numbers of spots taken up. But what he can do, if he has 3 swans, he can spend those swans to add one of these tiles to his setup. It will cost him extra points, or extra swans should I say, to take any of these guys up here. So he's probably only going to take from one of those 2 down there. For example, he might take that. Now when he adds it, he adds that direction. Now what that does is that points to a bonus that he will get. So the bonuses down here are ongoing, which means here he gets a discount of 1 swan, which means that he can build any of these 4 for free. If he builds in these 2, he'll cost him 1 swan. If on a future round he's able to throw another tile in there, he gets a 2 swan discount, which means all of these guys are free. Those guys will cost him 1 swan only. And if he were to throw a tile in down there, he's adding 2 extra moat tiles whenever he adds moat tiles. So I'll get to that in a second. And then over on the other side of the board, these are endgame points. So having one in that way gets him 10 points at the end of the game. Having one in this way, the hearts cards, which are these cards here or those cards there, I'll talk about them in a second. They should, at the end of the game, be split. So if people have the same number of rooms that are asked for in those heart cards, they would both get the full points. What that means is this player would get the full points unless someone else also has that chosen. And this one gets him 3 extra swans of his choice at the end of the game, and that would be to make up those sets of 5 that I was talking about earlier. So he can either spend 3 swans to do that, or because he's managed to actually do this as a completed room, he gets that bonus straight away for free without having to pay for it. These will then move down and another one flicks over. The other thing that he can do for 3 swans, or if he can build and complete this room, see there's a heart at the top, it does exactly the same thing. So let's say he builds that there, and let's say another room is added onto the back of that. So he'll get the swans for that obviously, but the heart means that he will take the top 3 of these cards, have a look at them, see which one he thinks he's going to best be able to get. So the arrow pointing down means the least, the arrow pointing up means the most. So he might think he'll get a heap of those. He'll choose that, select where he wants to place it, so he might place it there. The other 2 cards go underneath that pile, so no one will see them again, or we won't know when they'll be seen again. That is points for whoever at the table has the most of that type, which is these tiles face down. So it's in his best interest to make sure he's the person who has that. But anyone could win those 15 points. Now, whenever this is completed, so we've pushed them along, thrown 2 out, etc, 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 you'll notice there's a +1 moat, which means now whenever a room is completed, so I've just completed that room, while this is open, that now means I add one moat piece. My choice of where to place that moat is either here or here. He'll place that there. The game will finish when both sides of the moat match each other or touch each other. That will stop the game. If I were to put that on this side, this room cannot be completed now. These 4 cards over here are endgame bonus points, and they are available for anyone who can get to them. So need the most corridors, the most utility rooms, the most music rooms, and the least number of these swans from the bridge. And at the bottom is how many points you'll get for each of those cards. So the game will continue playing until this moat meets this moat. As we move further down, you'll notice there's a +1, which means that every time someone completes a room, the active player will now build 2 pieces of moat. And that will keep going +2, so it's 4 pieces of moat being built, and then plus another 2, and 6 pieces of moat being built. As I say, that will continue growing the moat until both sides of the moat join each other. If there are any spaces that can't be built in simply because they have no doors, so it looks like this spot just here is about to get that, if we were to kind of build around there, you could fill in those spots with moat pieces if you wished. Other things to be aware of just in terms of the general finishing off of rooms. So we've done the downstairs, we've done these rooms, we've done those rooms. These rooms, when they are completed, will gain all 4 swan types that are available on that room. So this room, if it was completed, would get 2 green and 2 purple swans. Those ones we've already talked about, add the hearts onto your board. These ones, the hallways, we've already talked about as well. So once they're completed, you'll get the 2 swans that are listed in the top left-hand corner. Music rooms, when they are completed, you'll just get 7 points. So just literally building a music room and getting that actually completed, so filling up both the doors, would get the player who has that 7 points at the end of the game. These rooms, the utility rooms, are getting you 3 points per whatever is on the thing. So this one's getting you 3 points per purple swan that you have at the end of the game. So it's worthwhile getting utility rooms because they can actually add up quite significantly if you're collecting a lot of swans or a particular room type. They can't push you in a certain direction. I think that is everything. So please go ahead and watch my next video to get a feel for how the game plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you'd like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.